We are recording. Okay, great. Well, good evening, everybody. My name's Ellen Grah, as you know, and I'm one of our Peak Team National Marketing Directors. And we wanted to do a call tonight. And Kim and Janice and I have been talking about this for a while, kind of entrepreneurial 101. And I said, okay, I want to kind of dig up some stories and some things along my 10-year journey with the Juice Plus mission. To share with you guys that I hope will really empower you and also give you some core guiding principles. And I think that for a lot of you on this call, this is nothing new, but this is always good to revisit these types of things. I was going over some of this today just for myself personally, and even though I set goals at the end of 2016, it was good to review stuff and so on and so forth. So I want to give you three things that we're going to talk about when it comes to entrepreneurialism tonight. And before I give you those three things, I want to read this quote to you. This is from Darren Hardy, and he is somebody you definitely want to be reading. But Darren said, your background and circumstances may have influenced who you are, but you are responsible for who you become. And I think that right there is the ultimate mindset of an entrepreneur, is you take 100% responsibility for who you are and where you're going. So we're going to talk about three things that I think an entrepreneur has got to have. Number one, you've got to have a mission, okay, or a business, right? And we have that with the Juice Plus virtual franchise, right? And we have that with the Healthy Living Revolution. It doesn't need to be any more complicated than that. In fact, the broader that you keep your mission and your approach to this, the more people that you can attract. And part of the beauty of what we get to do here is just the richness in different types of people from all walks of life that can come to this and for $50 a year can share this mission. So the second thing that you need to have is you've got to have the right mindset. And I think you guys know this, but I'm going to talk about persistence tonight as really the foundational mindset in doing this. And, you know, being positive and being a hard worker and all these, being coachable, all these things are super important. All of that is persistence, okay, rolled into one. And, you know, when you go to conference and you really listen to those national marketing director stories, you guys, and when you're having those conversations waiting in line for a bathroom at conference, and you meet people who are making it and they have made it here and they're continuing to make it, their story is always underscored by persistence, okay? And then the third thing that you've got to have is the skill set of time management. And this is where I know for me, there have been ups and downs of entrepreneurialism because, you know, you can go to an Own Your Life event and Sean Myers is up there and he's like, what would be, you know, what would be great attributes of a business? And you're like, being your own boss. And people are like, yeah, you know, I hate my boss or whatever. Well, guess what? When you're your own boss, you will have days that you fire yourself. And you will have days that you also rehire yourself. And there's it's a different type of accountability than what most of us are accustomed to. Most of us became accustomed to a more employee style mentality. We learned that in school, right? Do the right thing, get the right grades, that earns you praise and all these things. That'll get you into a good college. The good college will get you into the right job with the right kinds of companies. So when you become your own boss, you really have to take responsibility for what a lot of other people may have done for you in your life before. You know, whether it was a teacher who you wanted to please or a parent who stayed on top of you about your homework or whatever. Now it's totally up to you. Okay. So let's go back and talk about your number one thing, which is your mission and your business. Okay. Now you got to have goals and you've got to have some vision around that. That's really, really critical. If you don't have a destination, you know, if I say to Kim, all right, Kim, I'm coming through Kansas City. We're going on a road trip. Pack your bags. And Kim goes, well, where are we going? And I'm like, I don't know. It'll be fun. Kim's like, oh, great. Here's another harebrained idea from Ellen. I don't even know what to pack. I can't waste my time with that. You will do the exact same thing with this business if you don't have some kind of a goal in mind. Now, if I call Kim and I'm like, girl, pack your bags, start heading west, we're going to the beach. Kim's like, okay, bikini, hat, sundress, suntan lotion. She starts to acquire the things she's going to need for that trip, right? You guys, your goals are the same way. Goals don't need to be scary. They're just a blueprint for where you're headed. All right. And, you know, the other thing is playing big versus playing small. And we just had a great call with our 2000 plus group. And Kim was talking about, she's actually talking to the gal on my team. I'm going to tell her story. But Kim's goal her first year was to get 5 customers in a year, which I never knew that about her. And I was like, what? You're like the woman who gets 15 to 20 new customers every month. Like, I saw Kim come out of nowhere and go national marketing director. It was so inspiring. And, but a lot of us, we play kind of small with this thing. You guys, there's millions of people in the world. Go out there and play big. How many people can you reach? How many people can you go and get healthy? So an entrepreneur has got to think that way, right? Because an entrepreneur is building a business from nothing, right? We're kind of starting from our $50 on our website. You've got to think big. How many people can I go and help get healthy? And when we talk about, you know, when we talk about persistence, our business really pays you guys for being consistent, okay? Consistent activity will build a paycheck. You are better off touching your business 30 minutes, 6 days a week than you are if you try and sit down for 5 hours one day a week and then do nothing with it. Consistency pays. It is not any different than joining the gym and getting in shape. Has anybody, I don't know what your workout routines are like, but long time ago when I was not super healthy, I would try and go to the gym like twice a month, right? It was it was hard. I was so sore the next day. I got no results. And what do we see with people in this business? They try and do this business that way, right? And then they're frustrated and they don't have a paycheck and all this. You guys, it pays to be consistent. If you'll get out and get 20 minutes of fresh air and walk around your neighborhood every day, you're going to get more results than if you go to the gym twice a month. So it's about getting paid and building up a paycheck with your consistent efforts. And again, it's that shift from kind of that employee mindset where we almost across the board, all of us got raised to go trade our hours for dollars, right? Mm-hmm. And so this is a shift because you're going to leverage your consistent efforts to build a residual income. And I always tell my team, your income's like an onion in the Juice Plus business. It has all these layers. So you build your retail sales profit layer, you build your commissions layer, right? You get yourself up to sales coordinator, so you're making 22% and you're not leaving any money on the table there. And then you build your performance bonus, right? You make sure you're always qualified and you're teaching your people the same thing. You get yourself into promote out bonus. There's your next layer. You get to senior sales coordinator and now you can earn bid bonus, right? Incentive bonus, which is really fun. And so you continue to build those layers. And then like, you know, you make national marketing director, you get those benefits. That's like, I guess, icing on the onion. I don't know. No one actually wants the onion to eat, but anyways, so really think about that persistency and consistency in your activity. And there's, you know, we can make a lot of decisions based on emotion, right? And it's real easy to do this business when you come home from conference, right? I mean, that Monday after conference, man, it's like, go big or go home. I'm walking the stage next conference. But what happens, you guys? life starts to maybe whittle away and the emotions start to fade. And we've got to continue to make decisions to be consistent in our activity, regardless of what our emotions are. And oftentimes I have found in my journey, you know, I can have a real tough morning, maybe getting kids out the door to school. And like, this was my morning last week. Here I am in my pajamas. I haven't had a chance to get dressed. I got to get the kids out the door to school. My garage door won't open. I'm in my bathrobe on a ladder in the alley with the neighbor driving by, trying to get my garage door open to get the car out, to get the kids to school. I've probably said a couple 4-letter words. And so, you know, what, I finally get the kids dropped off and I can be like all in a huff and thinking, whoa, you know, I'm so frazzled or whatever. But I find that if I will just, you know, kind of give myself a little kick in the butt, get into activity, an hour later, I'm laughing about that. And I'm texting my neighbor and I'm saying, I hope you didn't Instagram me in my bathrobe on the ladder, fooling around with the garage, right? And so this business really offers us so much value in that sense, because oftentimes we can have more authentic emotion that follows that feeling of doing good work. You know, I reached out and I touched some customers. You know, I tackled my chicken list first thing on Monday morning type of stuff. So, you know, the other thing is, as we grow this, think about it this way, you guys, and I'd like this from an entrepreneurial standpoint. We earn by creating distribution networks, okay? So think of it that way. Sometimes we get way too into all the personal stuff, right? And that's fine. We have to learn about each other's personality types and communication styles, and we're always growing in those areas. But we're creating distribution networks. Think of that in terms of our mission. We are getting the life-giving nutrition of Juice Plus out through networks all over this globe. That is your job. How exciting is that? And anyone can franchise that opportunity for $50 a year. And I always say this, you guys, this is the American dream. The playing field is still level, and I think we need to tell that story. And Darren Hardy has also talked about how we are returning to our entrepreneurial roots in the United States, and it is a tumultuous time. But I will say, I think it's time to go to work, roll up your sleeves and go to work and share that message. It doesn't matter if you have a high school degree or a GED or a college degree, or you're a lawyer, it's $50 and we all come in and we start at the same place. And you can build a fortune here if you want to. And we need to be telling people that. You know, we need to be saying to the brand new Kim Wells on our team, great, let me help you make $150 a month. But there are also people in our company making 6 and 7 figures a year, so you can do anything that you want within there. Okay, so that's the vision that we want to be casting. And let's see. So I want to talk a little bit more about time management, and I want to share a little bit more about my journey. You have to pace yourself. That I've come home from conference 20 times and I'm so excited that I go like 15-hour days crazy over Juice Plus, right? And then by the following weekend after conference, I'm like a little tired, a little worn out, right? I do think it's important to pace ourselves. I think it's important to push ourselves at certain times, and I think it's important to pace ourselves at certain times. And there's a real art to mastering that on your journey. And I really want to say this to you, especially as women, to give yourselves grace through that process. There's gonna be times in this that you push yourself too hard. I've done it. And I've been sick to prove it. There's been times where I could have pushed myself harder. Absolutely. There's times, you know, where I was maybe really disappointed about something in the business and I needed to like clean up my face and get back to work, and I had a pity party all afternoon. It's happened. I want to be honest with you about that. Those are some of the ups and downs of this, but if we're willing to really review and reflect, we can learn a lot from it. And that can make us better in the future. You know, I can look back on that afternoon that I had the pity party and be like, oh, I don't want to feel like that again. So today, even though maybe I'm dealing with a disappointment, I am going to go clean up my face, and I am going to go and continue on my mission, because how many people can I reach? So that being said, your calendar is your boss. And Eric Worre has said that. And Eric Worre is another person you guys want to be reading. So Darren Hardy, Eric Worre, Jim Rohn. Make sure that you're reading the greats, and make sure that you guys, we're going to put your calendar in charge of you, that you're scheduling time, that you are plugging stuff into your head, whether you're listening to books on tape, reading, whatever that is, so that you're feeding that mindset. Because that persistent mindset, again, you can be like, yeah, I'm gonna be so totally persistent when you feel good. But, you know, I've been that young mom. I had a baby who didn't sleep for 15 months. And, you know, it was hard to be persistent. I wanted to take naps when he took naps instead of working on my Juice Plus business. And I'm really thankful for great mentoring at the time, because my NMDs really taught me how to manage my time. And I used to have it blocked out every day, and I would sit down and I'd block out, like, what was our winter schedule like? And I had everything scheduled. What day of the week did I clean house? What day of the week did I get groceries? You know, what day of the week was I taking my son to, you know, toddler music class? All those types of things. I needed to make sure I was out and about in the community, so I was meeting new people, but also when was that daily method of operation? Of course, this is 10 years ago. I used to spend 2 hours a day on the phone doing this business. And so that was all blocked out. And that has served me enormously, because my nature is a fly by the seat of your pants, disorganized, hot mess in a bathrobe. I've already given you that picture. And so giving myself that structure, and it didn't go perfectly every day, but having that structure in place, I knew I was eventually going to hit those goals, because I was consistently, you know, in activity every single day, with a day of rest, of course. And so my business was largely built in stolen moments and 1 to 2 hour chunks of time. And I think that's really important for you guys to know. The year that Rory, my youngest, went to kindergarten is the year I went NMD. That was the first year I had kids in school all day. And so up until then, my whole business was babies' nap times during preschool, a Facebook post in the King Soopers parking lot. It was these little stolen moments of time. I mean, you know, nursing babies and texting, doing the text blitz, all of those kinds of stuff. So this doesn't have to be something where, you know, it's totally an insane amount of work. Entrepreneurs work hard, take pride in that, but you also pace yourself, and you also trust in those principles of persistence, that you're going to hit those goals. Now, if you want to hit the goals faster, you might have to ramp up your activity. So those are conversations you have with your upline about, does my activity actually match the deadline for my goal? And then I want to share 2 other kind of thoughts with you guys. Be moved by your goals and not your circumstances. You know, be careful of watching the virtual office all day long for updates. You don't get paid to do that. You know, and what about the circumstances of life? You know, be moved by your goals, not by the circumstances of what are happening around you. And this is so on my heart to share with you guys tonight. It's tumultuous out there right now. Social media is kind of this, it's a little bit of a dangerous place, I think. It's a little bit of a slippery slope. You guys need to be moved by your goals and not what is happening around you. Because you know what? There's a lot of people talking about stuff that they can't control, and you've got something here that can make a difference. And somebody out there is going to get those capsules in them, and 5 years from now, they are not going to have a diagnosis, or they're not going to have a cardiac event because of what you're doing. It's really important that you know that. And finally, keep the expectations on yourself and not others. As you build a team, you've got to keep the expectations on yourself and not on others. Okay, so as we're going for goals, it's never someone else's job to get you to a certain place. It's always your job. So let me give you like a really concrete example of that. You know, let's say that I'm fast tracking to sales coordinator, and Kim and Debbie are on my team, and Debbie's already done her 2,000 plus, and Kim's got to DD, and she says she's doing her 2,000 plus, and Brenda's on my team, and she's a DD. So but Brenda's already said she's not doing anything else, right? Brenda's like, I'm not doing it, Ellen. I got stuff going on. And I'm like, okay, Brenda, that's cool. So I've like honed in on Kim, right? Well, Kim starts to feel that pressure from me if I'm like desperate to get sales coordinator, and Kim's got to be the person to do that. So how do I keep those expectations on myself? Well, I get out there and talk to Heather and Stacy and Kim and Kristen and Tammy about joining my team, because right there I up the odds that somebody one of these days is going to finish that 2,000 plus, and we're going to make sales coordinator, right? And it increases, you know, the possibilities of momentum within my team if I'm not dragging Kim tired across the finish line, but I've got some other new fun, exciting people joining my team, right? So, so again, I think, you know, if you guys just really look at those three areas, mission, persistence, and time management, that is the joy, sometimes the pain, but I mean, I wouldn't trade this for anything. And you guys know my story, but when I went through my divorce, I thought about going back to work for about 5 seconds. And there was no way I wanted anything but this. This is awesome. It's hard sometimes. There's disappointment sometimes. There's hurdles. There is exquisite joy. There is nothing like those text messages from people that are so excited about their Juice Plus. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and end the recording, and we're going to open it up for Q&A.